In chapter 1000 of One Piece, there was a particularly interesting scene where Ace accidentally revealed to Yamato what Luffy had told him lies at the end of his dream. For those that do not recall what this scene is referencing, it's referring to a scene from chapter 585, where, after Ace made a declaration that he would prove his life having meaning, Luffy made his own declaration in front of Ace and Sabo. The camera cuts from that scene, not allowing us to hear what Luffy said, only seeing Ace and Sabo reacting. Most people back then thought it was just Luffy declaring he would be Pirate King, just like he declared to Shanks, but some people already found it out back then that Luffy's sentence was cut, making them think he perhaps said something else. This was further hinted at in chapter 966, where Roger ended up saying the same thing to Odin and Whitebeard. We had no full official confirmation that it was the exact same thing, but the layout of the scene, even down to the bandages on Whitebeard and Odin, made it very clear that Oda was paralleling the two scenes and indicating that Roger had said the same thing that Luffy originally said to Ace and Sabo. And chapter 1000 outright confirms it, with Yamato claiming that Ace's statement lines up with the record that Odin left in his logbook of what Roger said. And it also confirms that his statement is not something as generic as "I want to be the Pirate King," because Ace claims that this is a goal at the end of Luffy's dream. Since Luffy's dream is quite obviously to be Pirate King, this is a goal that Luffy considers he can only achieve after he becomes the Pirate King. And if anything, this might be hinting at the fact that Luffy can only achieve this dream, or only wants to achieve this dream, after he becomes the Pirate King. This also lines up with something that was said at Sabaody, where in a flashback of Rayleigh, Shanks told him that Luffy uttered the same exact words that Roger once said as well, causing Rayleigh to develop an interest in Luffy. Since Luffy never really said anything else that matched with something Roger said, it's possible that Luffy told Shanks the same thing he told Ace and Sabo during a scene off-screen, because it's something that he always wanted to do, and that Shanks is referring to this very same statement when he was talking to Rayleigh. But then, what is this goal that lies at the end of Luffy's dream? What could it be? Something that Whitebeard considered downright childish? Something that causes people to laugh? Something that sounds so ridiculous that only someone like Luffy or Roger could claim? Well, as a matter of fact, while Oda does not outright reveal it in this chapter, chapter 1000 might already give us a direct answer to what this goal is. However, to understand that answer, we need to understand chapter 1000 on a deeper and more fundamental level than one lies at the surface. A couple of weeks ago, I had made a video about if there could be a possible Will of D reveal in chapter 1000, especially since Yamato talked about this matter of fate and inherited will that comes with the D initial. However, while the Will of D was not revealed in this chapter, inherited will was still the central focus, because chapter 1000 is a chapter about Luffy and the will he inherited through Ace. This is something that has been established since the very start of the Wano arc. From the very beginning, the arc opened with the story of Otama, a little girl whom Ace had made a promise with. Ace had shipwrecked onto the shores of Kuri, befriended the locals, and promised to take down Kaido in their favor. However, after Ace's death, Tama struggles to coming to terms with this, and yet it's in Luffy that she manages to find what she admired about Ace before. Just in the same way that Ace had once made a promise to help Tama not to starve, Luffy makes that very same promise to her so many years later. And this plotline is continued on Onigashima, when Yamato goes out of his way to meet Luffy. It's made very clear right away that Yamato has a big interest in Luffy. He outright states that he wants to join the crew, he's a certified fanboy of the Straw Hat Pirates, as we've seen he memorized Frankie's bounty, and claimed that he was waiting for Luffy for a very long time. But, unlike Tama, this is not simply because he sees a lot of Ace in Luffy, but because he realizes that Luffy was actually the man that he's been waiting for all these years. Because Yamato had read in Odin's logbook that someday someone would come to lead the new generation of pirates. This is the exact same message that Odin left to Toki in chapter 972, claiming that a new generation of pirates would make their way into the New World 20 years after Odin's death, and that they would inherit his will to help free the borders of the Wano country. Freeing the Wano country is an essential step for the future of the world, and it's something that would pave the path towards leading to the dawn of the world. And this fact is indicated in the title of chapter 1000. Because at first glance, Chapter 1000's title appears to quite simply be Straw Hat Luffy, a simplistic but effective title. But what if I told you that's not the true full title of the chapter? Because, just like I explained in my previous video, the covers of Chapter 999 and Chapter 1000 were both half covers to a larger color spread included in separate Jump issues. So, if the covers can be combined to make one unique cover, then the titles can as well. And so, combining the title of Chapter 999 and Chapter 1000, we get the full true title of Chapter 1000. The sake I brewed while waiting for you, Straw Hat Luffy. The one speaking this title is actually Yamato. You wouldn't be able to tell in English, but in Japanese this is indicated by the use of the kimi pronoun, which is used by Yamato in Japanese. And so it means that this is Yamato speaking, saying that he's been brewing sake while waiting for Luffy. The sake brewed while waiting for you is actually reference to an ancient Japanese poem about someone who was separated from their friend and wasn't able to exchange sake with them like they were originally able to, waiting for them and hoping to one day exchange sake with them again. In that regard, Yamato is much the same. He originally exchanged sake with Ace under the moon in Chapter 999, but after Ace left, Yamato waited for him to return, only to find out that he was dead and that he would not be able to exchange sake again. And yet, he realized that Ace was not the person that he was originally waiting for, but that the person was, in fact, Luffy, as indicated in the title. This is further indicated in the sake that Ace was holding in that scene, because at first glance, to a non-Japanese reader, that might just seem like a bunch of random kanji, but in reality, these kanji can be read as Unaware Night Moon. This Unaware Night Moon was also mentioned in Toki's prophecy as the one that came before the dawn, which further indicates that Ace was the one that came before Luffy, but Luffy in reality is the one who will really bring the dawn. But originally, that was not always the case. At first, Yamato thought that this person he was waiting for, this person that would lead this new generation of pirates towards the dawn, was Ace. That the man that Roger and Oden had been waiting for all these years, or to put it in other words, like Oden worded it, this person was Ace. Ace was Joy Boy. Now, whether Joy Boy in this case is meant to just be a title, or Oden believed in something like reincarnation or whatever else, that's a whole other discussion for another day. I personally think I know exactly what Oden is talking about here, but it's something that's a bit too complicated to explain in this video, so let me just put it in simple terms. I think it's a matter of inherited will. I believe that Oden believed someone would come to inherit Joy Boy's will and bring forth the dawn of the world, becoming the new Joy Boy. Yamato had thought at first this Joy Boy that Oden spoke of was actually Ace, that he would lead a new generation of pirates in the new world with him, take down Kaido and lead the path toward the dawn, just like Oden said. In fact, this is exactly why Yamato was asking last chapter about the current pirates rising in fame. On first read, you probably thought this was just Yamato fanboying about pirates, but no, Yamato here was explicitly asking about the new generation because they are the new generation that Oden spoke of. That was why he was interested. And in Chapter 1000, Yamato outright confirms this, claiming that he really believed that Ace was the one meant to lead this new generation of pirates. And, in fact, this idea that Ace was originally meant to be Joy Boy is something I've speculated for quite a while already. In fact, I even referenced it a whole year ago in the final chapter of Return to the Reverie, if you remember. But it's something that has already been hinted at throughout the manga at many points, that Ace was originally meant to be Joy Boy. For example, in the final scene of Stampede, which later appeared in the manga at the end of chapter 968, Roger wondered who would find the One Piece and claimed that it would be his son. Rayleigh remarked how Roger had no son, but Roger just joked that he'd just have to make one. So even Roger back then already thought that his son could have been the new Joy Boy. But Roger was not the only one to believe this, far from it. Because before Ace's execution in chapter 551, Sengoku outright stated the same thing. He claimed that if Ace hadn't been stopped, he would become the leader of a new generation of pirates who would bring forth a reign of terror. The exact same wording of a new generation that Yamato used. To put it into perspective, this was in 2009, 12 years ago. This just shows you just how far Oda plans this whole thing. Now, obviously, this whole reign of terror thing is from the government's perspective. The government wants to stop anyone from finding the One Piece. The government wants to stop the dawn of the world from happening. However, just like Yamato, Sengoku, and more specifically the higher-ups of the world government, really believed that Ace was probably going to be the new Joy Boy. Sengoku claimed that the reason why they went to war with the Whitebeard pirates was to kill Ace. They were willing to sacrifice all those soldiers, all those resources, all those lives, all that money just for the sake of killing Ace, because the world government found it so essential to eradicate Joy Boys that the dawn of the world would never happen. Similarly, this is also why they put so much effort into making sure they could find Roger's baby at Batterilla before Ace was born, because ever since they were trying to stop the new Joy Boy from even being born into this world. And according to Sengoku, Whitebeard also thought the same. Sengoku stated that the reason why Whitebeard protected Ace aboard his ship was because Whitebeard wanted to raise Ace to become the next Pirate King. Because Whitebeard had also considered that Ace was meant to be the new Joy Boy, someone who had the potential to lead a new generation. And that's exactly why he went so far as to sacrifice so much to save Ace during the war. Now, obviously Whitebeard is willing to go out of his way to save his children, but is not someone who will blindly sacrifice anything just for the sake of that. This was shown just last chapter when it was explained that the reason Whitebeard didn't go after Kaido after Oden died was because too many people would die in the process and he felt the sacrifices just weren't worth it. And yet, by comparison, to save Ace, Whitebeard was willing to sacrifice so much. The lives of his men, the lives of so many enemies, several of his ships that he had been with for so long, and even his own life, all so that Ace could live. The reason why the Summit War was such a massive event was because both the government and the Whitebeard pirates were fighting for the future of the world. The stakes weren't just some random mid-tier bounty pirate who could have been in a bit of danger. No, the stakes were the life or death of the next Joy Boy, which could have determined the outcome of the fate of the world. The Marineford arc is so much more important than even what it might already seem like in the story. And yet, despite all this fighting, and despite all these sacrifices, sadly, we all know what the outcome was. Portgas the Ace was executed by Admiral Akainu, and the man who so many believed to be the new Joy Boy, the man who would lead an entire generation to bring the dawn, left us. This was not just a personal loss for those who loved Ace, but a potential loss for the future of the world. And yet, just like inherited will or people's dreams, these are things that will never cease to be. Because while Roger's bloodline had been extinguished, his will, just like the burning flames of the sun, was carried on like a torch. But Roger and Ace's will managed to live on and be inherited by someone else. This is what Whitebeard mentioned during his final words, because he perhaps also realized that this will would be carried on by someone else. To quote Whitebeard, he mentioned that inherited will has been passed down since ancient times, and that one day someone, this Joy Boy, would reappear and carry on centuries of history on his back to challenge the world on the day that they find the One Piece, the treasure that the original Joy Boy had left behind so long ago. And Yamato came to that conclusion as well, because he had realized what Ace told him about his little brother lined up with what the previous king of the pirates had said, making him realize that the one who inherited Roger's will was never really his child Ace, but someone else entirely. The real new Joy Boy was Monkey D. Luffy. And to be fair, that's exactly what Ace told Yamato, didn't he? Remember when Yamato asked about recent emerging pirates? Ace said that, yeah, there are several pirates around the world and I'm in a league of my own, but the number one toughest among all of them will be my little brother. Unknowingly, Ace was already telling Yamato that Luffy would be the one to be at the top of this generation, to be the new Joy Boy that would lead the War's generation towards paving a path for the dawn of the world. The one that Roger and Oden had been waiting for, that Yamato had been waiting for, was not Ace, but Luffy. Luffy came to Wano, inherited Ace's will, and in his place will defeat Kaido. This is shown so evidently at the end of the chapter when Luffy uses Red Rock to hit Kaido, a move that is a tribute to Ace's own attack, as indicated by the kanji reading, which reads as Hellfire Fist Pistol, an homage to Ace's Fire Fist, as the attack uses Gear Second to envelop Luffy's arm in flames. He's even hitting Kaido in the same place where Ace hit the dragon statue, so the parallel is very clear. Luffy is inheriting Ace's will and defeating Kaido in his place, because Luffy is the man who will bring the dawn of the world. Luffy is the Joy Boy that will lead this new worst generation towards a better world. That's his destiny, or perhaps just his dream. Okay, but you might say, Arthur, all this stuff is really cool, but what the heck does it have to do with Luffy's true goal? Are we going off topic? Well, first of all, we get there when we get there, shut up. Second of all, well, you see, explaining that Ace was originally perceived to be the one who would be Joy Boy is fundamental to helping understand why Luffy's goal at the end of this dream makes so much sense. Because Luffy and Ace's relationship is such a fundamental element of Chapter 1000, and it's the original start of their bond that reveals to us the key clue to understanding what Luffy's dream really is. Let's go back to the original scene, the one that started it all. Luffy telling Ace and Sabo the goal at the end of his dream. Think about it again. What happens before Luffy makes his proclamation? Ace makes his own. And it's not the same proclamation that Roger had made, but something completely unique and different, to give meaning to his life. Which already indicated to us this duality between Luffy and Ace. Ace didn't want to do anything grand like be the next Joy Boy or change the world, but he simply wanted to live a life he could be truly proud of. Yet, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Luffy instead does want to achieve the goal that Roger had, because it simply lines up with his dream of freedom. Personally, I don't think that Ace was ever meant to really be the true Joy Boy. It wasn't his desire in the first place. I simply think that the world government and Whitebeard perhaps came to that conclusion first because of his bloodline being that of the Pirate King, and thinking that fate perhaps is bound by bloodline and all these things, yet it's possible they just had the wrong man this entire time, because the one to achieve this is Luffy, not because of some destined bloodline, but because it's his actual dream. Whitebeard similarly might have already realized before his death, and even the world government seems to be catching on and realizing that Luffy is a bigger piece in this whole thing. But going back to the original thing, the most important clue is not what comes before Luffy's proclamation, but what happens after. Because how does Ace react to Luffy's proclamation of his dream? What does Ace do after Luffy says that he wants to achieve this thing?
お前ら知ってるか？杯を交わすと兄弟になれるんだ。兄弟？本当かよ！
Ace offers him a cup of sake. Ace, Sabo, and Luffy all decide to exchange sake cups as a symbol of brotherhood, a symbol of friendship. Ace, in a sense, was helping lay down the first step to Luffy's goal. Because the goal that lies at the end of his journey, the goal for Luffy after he finds the One Piece, is to exchange sake with people from all over the world. Or, to put it in better words, what Luffy said is, I want to throw the biggest party in the world, or something along those lines. I believe the goal at the end of Luffy's dream is to hold the biggest, grandest party in the entire world, to celebrate his victory with so many other people from all over the world, and to exchange drinks with them. Luffy, Ace, and Sabo laid that first step by exchanging cups of sake, and from that point onward, Luffy would always throw a party and share sake cups with those he forms a bond with, and after every accomplishment he achieved. To break it down, in this series, parties usually happen after one or two occasions. Either one, when a new Straw Hat joins, since Luffy wants to exchange sake in a bond of friendship with them, and at the end of almost every major arc after a big victory. This happens at the end of Arlong Park, at the end of Alabasta, Skypiea, and his lobby, Thriller Bark, Fishman Island, Punk Hazard, and so many others. One of the most important examples of these is Dressrosa, where the members of the Grand Fleet offer to exchange cups of sake with Luffy in a formal ceremony. However, Luffy complains against it because he feels it's too formal. Instead, he insists that they don't need such formalities and that they should just form a bond of friendship over something more natural, which is why right after that they just had to party together and exchange sake in a far more natural way to Luffy. These parties are something that bring people together. They get people from different races, beliefs, and factions together to celebrate hand in hand, abandoning hatred in favor of laughter. These parties bind, tie, and unite people together no matter where they're from. And that's why Luffy loves parties so much, because it's something that brings people together. I mean, ask yourself, what are the things that Luffy loves more than anything else? Well, you don't have to ask, because Oda already was asked. In the volume 82 of the SBS, Oda mentioned that Luffy's favorite activities are adventuring and partying. It is literally one of the things that Luffy loves the most in this entire world. Even within this arc, remember what Luffy said after Jinbe joined? He wants to wait on the party and wait until they defeat Kaido and Big Mom to celebrate their biggest party yet. And if the party after Onigashima is something that Luffy is looking forward to that much, then imagine just how massive the party at the end of Laugh Tale would be. If the party at the end of Skypiea was enough to unite all the races from the sky and make them stop waging war, then a party at the end of Laugh Tale could be capable of uniting the whole world, to put a stop to the segregation and division that has been present in the world for so many centuries, and uniting all races and all people as one. That's why Oda likes to always draw these parties. In several interviews, Oda has claimed that he really enjoys drawing parties, and that some of his favorite scenes, however, are those of parties. Hell, Oda is even someone who loves parties just as much as Luffy and constantly throws parties at his own mansion with all of his friends and family. In fact, Oda claimed that he doesn't like to draw anything that would ruin the atmosphere to set a party. This is probably why he didn't do a party at the end of Marineford or Whole Cake Island because of Ace and Peter's deaths. The claim of, "I want to throw the biggest party in the world" is something that sounds so ridiculous, something so childish, that if you heard it, it would make you laugh. Like Whitebeard said, it's something that a little kid would say, something that sounds so silly, yet such a humble ambition to achieve for how grand of a man you'd have to become to carry it out. But for someone like Luffy, it's natural. He doesn't want to be a big pirate, he doesn't want to be someone who rules the world, he just wants to be free. He just wants to share his life with friends. That, at its core, is his true dream, just like he told Rayleigh, but at the end of it, he wants to do something that is so naive and childlike that is so fitting of his personality. And, in fact, we might even be able to deduce where Luffy got this theme from. From the very beginning, from chapter 1 of One Piece, one of the very first things we see in the chapter are the red-haired pirates. Partying. Singing, laughing, drinking, and partying, all while Luffy looks at them in admiration. Shanks even tells them not to fill Luffy's head with crazy ideas, but Luffy is fascinated, both by their claims of how free pirates are, and how by one should just have fun and a good time and party. To just laugh, party with friends, and enjoy life. So, Luffy likely made this same declaration to Shanks that one day he would throw the biggest party in the world. And, in fact, that might be why Luffy declared to Shanks that he would become the Pirate King, because becoming the Pirate King was the only rational way to achieve such a goal, that only as the Pirate King he could throw such a massive party. He tells Shanks he'll gather a crew better than his, one he can celebrate this party with, and that he will surpass him. Both the will of becoming the freest man in the world, to pursue the meaning of freedom, as Roger put it, and the wish to throw the biggest party in the world are the things that drove Luffy to pursue his dream today. Which is why, at Sabaody, Shanks told Rayleigh that Luffy said the same thing Roger once said, because Luffy had made that same declaration to him once in the past. And it makes sense, because Roger was also someone who loved to party. The very first thing that happened after Oden joined the Roger Pirates is participating in a party with the Roger Pirates, which threw away any tension and antagonism that was between them at first. It united them as friends. Across their journey to Laugh Tale, we see them singing and partying as they head there, and after all of it is over, Roger threw a massive party with his crew in chapter 968 to celebrate his achievement, once again exchanging drinks with all of them. Perhaps Roger was not able to accomplish this biggest party in the world like he had wished to, but at the very least he still threw a very big party. And so Luffy set out to sea to accomplish this same goal. This is something I felt like people have never paid enough attention to, but why else do you think that Luffy always insisted on having a musician from the very beginning? Is it just a gag, or is it because a musician is someone essential to a party? Because a song is the life of a party, and yet there is something even more fundamental to a party than a song, and it's the reason why this thing has been such a fundamental theme across the series. To explain this, I want to reference a scene from Stampede. Stampede is a very important movie because it hints at so many important things about the outcome of the story, many of which haven't even been revealed in the story yet. But something that struck out to me when I first watched this movie in 2019 when I traveled to see it in Japan was a scene where the antagonist of the movie, Douglas Bullet, claimed that relying on others is a weakness, and that the reason why Roger and Whitebeard were dragged down was due to wishing to defend others, believing that relying only on himself will allow him to become the strongest of all. This is a major theme of the movie for Bullet's motivations, and in a particular scene he tells this to Luffy, telling him to get rid of weak people like Usopp because they would only drag him down. But Luffy replies to this not just enraged, but confused. He tells Bullet, "What the hell are you talking about? If I did get rid of others, then who would I have parties with? Are you an idiot?" To Luffy, the idea of getting rid of others seems so fundamentally absurd because without other people, you can't host a party. All by yourself, a party just isn't fun. Bullet laughed at this idea because who even cares about parties when you're talking about ambition? But to Luffy, it's not about ambition. To Luffy, it's something so fundamentally logical because he doesn't care about ambition, he only cares about being free and being able to throw parties, and without anyone, there is no way he can throw a party. Because what point is there in becoming the Pirate King alone if that means you cannot throw a big party afterwards? Because what is more important to achieving Luffy's goal, more than becoming Pirate King, more than anything else, is friends.
だって他に頼りがいねえ。お前を追いかけなかったら俺は一人になる。一人になるのはいてよりつれえ。
That's why friends are so important to Luffy. That is why across this entire series, Luffy has always cherished his friends above all else. The reason he got strong was to be able to protect them so he'd be able to take every single one of them to the final island and be able to throw this massive party. He cherishes them and looks after them because to him, they are the most important thing in the world, more than anything else, more than even his own dream. At Whole Cake Island, Luffy told Sanji that he could not become Pirate King without him. Not that he didn't want to, but that he literally could not. Because without Sanji, without his friend, Luffy could not achieve his goal. At Sabaody, when Luffy lost his friends, he was heartbroken. He felt like he had lost everything. And in the anime, after that, we saw this sequence in Luffy's memory where Luffy reminisces being able to party alongside the Straw Hats. He thinks back at the times they partied together because he realizes he may not be able to party with them ever again. And this is something we see so clearly in chapter 1000. When Kaido and Big Mom ask Luffy to give them this proclamation of being Pirate King just to laugh at his face, Luffy ignores them. He walks past them and just doesn't even think about it. They're not important to him. Luffy defending his dream is not important because at that moment it's not his top priority. His friends are. He rushes to them, picks up Kinemon and makes sure that he's alive. Because to Luffy, if there is one thing that is more important than his dream, is his friends. Because how can you throw a party if you don't have friends? What point is there to life if you can't share it with others? But how does this relate to everything else I said previously in this video? Well, because among all these friends, there's someone who is still missing. Someone who needs to be there alongside Luffy to celebrate the party with. Someone who is not yet part of the crew but who wants to be a part of it and wants to be able to participate in that party. Yamato. Yamato didn't laugh or scoff at Luffy's dream. He didn't consider it silly. He didn't consider it absurd. In fact, he wanted to be a part of it. When Ace accidentally told Yamato about Luffy's goal, Yamato mentioned there once was a man who had made that same declaration, and what Ace told Yamato in turn was that, maybe one day I should sit down with him and Luffy for a drink. Ace is saying that he wants to exchange sake with this man, because this is exactly what they were talking about in regards to Luffy's goal, and it's even what they were likely doing at the moment. Ace and Yamato were partying, they were exchanging sake, which is how they likely even came to talk about this in the first place. And he was thinking back after Ace's death about this proclamation his little brother had made, that Yamato had realized that Luffy was the one he had been waiting for all this time. Just like Oden joined Roger on his journey and saw just how great of a man Roger was, Yamato wants to do the same. He wants to join Luffy on his journey and be a part of that goal that Luffy shares, to see in Luffy what Oden saw in Roger, to party together with Luffy at the ends of the worlds, to exchange sake with him once he's found the One Piece, or to put it in other words, what Yamato has been holding on to all this time is the sake I brewed while waiting for you, Straw Hat Luffy. Just like Luffy, I have a dream of my own. Well, to be technical, I have many dreams in life, but there is one dream I've been trying to accomplish for a few years. And that is to crack the mystery of the One Piece. To be the one to discover what it really is, and be the first to share it with the world, and show the complete full evidence to what the One Piece really is. And here's a secret I've been keeping for a while. I already know. After years of research, I feel like I found it out. What I came across is something that is so undeniable, something that makes so much perfect sense that I simply cannot imagine it being anything else. And it was watching Stampede when I traveled to Japan in 2019 that made me realize everything when I saw that writing, Laugh Tale, and how the One Piece is something that brings laughter. But my dream isn't complete, because I need to share this with the world. And that's exactly what I intend to do this year. On this channel, I will finally reveal what the One Piece is. Of course, at the end of the day, this is just my speculation. I hope I'm not coming off as arrogant or conceited. I'm just trying to sound dramatic, but I really feel confident about what I found. If you think that this video alone already sounds so convincing, then you've heard nothing yet. So, I hope you can join me on this special journey. I will be speaking soon enough about how I plan to handle this project in a future video, so stay tuned. However, you know what? In the same way that Luffy declared he would achieve something at the end of his dream, there's something I want to achieve as well after my dream is completed. Something that sounds silly, something that sounds childish, but something that I want to do after I share this secret with all of you. So, let me make this proclamation as well. After I reveal what the One Piece is, I'm gonna... What did I say? Well, you can guess, but you'll find out eventually. See you there when we make it to the ends of the sea. Thanks for watching.